Hello my friends! If you're watching this, then you know that I've finally uploaded my August plan with me. You know, I was actually thinking about skipping this entire video because I've just been kind of going through a lot, and also it's incredibly late. But you know, I talked to my sister about it and she reminded me that late is better than never and imperfection is always more real than perfection. You know, I'm not doing this because there's a time limit or because I need to upload on like a particular date. I'm doing this because I want to share a part of myself with you guys. You know, I get pretty open about what I'm going through in the video ahead, and so I'm not going to say too much here. So let's just get into it. Alright my loves, let's get started. I am so nervous right now because I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth because a lot has happened since the last time I uploaded, but let's find out. So for the lettering, I usually use some form of Tombow Furanowski, but this time I used a brand called WRITECH. They sent me a bunch of their utensils, writing utensils, and we will get into that a little bit later, but I used black, and then for all of my outlining and all my fine liner needs, I will be using the Sakura fine liners in sepia tone, like always. And of course, for the finer details, I am using a 005, and then for all of the numerical numbers and calendars and borders, I used a 01. So as you can see, the theme that I chose for August is cacti. I had been feeling a lack of inspiration when it comes to my creativity the last couple of weeks, and my ex actually suggested that why don't I do a cacti theme. I kind of already talked a little bit about this on Instagram, but basically me and my ex had decided that we are going to explore the love we have for each other again after being apart for a year. And because I love him, I was like, okay, yeah, I will do a cacti theme. I've never done it before, and it was kind of difficult because I was trying to make the cacti fit into the style that I normally like to do, which is doodly, pretty, cute, delicate. I don't know how to describe the style I create my art in, but those are the words I'm using at the moment. But anyways, I drew them all out in pencil format, and then basically a couple days later, me and my ex decided to separate. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm pretty devastated about it, and it's one of the reasons why it's taking me so long to finish my page spreads, and I am posting less often because I am just dealing with a lot of pain and grief right now. And so I kind of found myself getting a little bit resentful at the fact that I'm gonna have to draw out cactuses for the rest of August. And so now he's gonna be on the forefront of my mind because he's the one that suggested this theme. Now it just wasn't an option to change my theme like last minute and erase everything I had drawn out and redo it all because I'm already having such a difficult time getting the things I need to get done. So what I did was I went on Google and I looked up the symbolic meaning of a cactus. And Mama Google told me that cacti represent warmth, protection, unconditional motherly love, the endurance to survive harsh conditions, medicinal qualities, resiliency, strength, and truth. Wow, that was exactly the kind of metaphor I needed to dissipate some of this resentment that I was feeling. And I felt a little bit more connected to myself too because I just redefined what this theme means to me. And I'm not gonna lie, I am pretty impressed with my willingness to see this situation differently. And so no, I'm not gonna erase these page spreads because they will act as a reminder for how I walked through this very difficult time by offering myself a cacti kind of love. So now that we've explained why I justified continuing on with this theme, we can talk about the quote page. So the quote for this month is, "There is knowing in not knowing." So the gift of spending a year single and by myself was that I was able to get a taste of what it felt like to be myself. I honestly felt ready to give him and our love another chance, but as time went by, I started to feel more and more disconnected from myself, from my family, my friends, my career, from you guys. It was getting harder and harder to be able to express myself, and I think it's because I just started to get consumed with why our relationship wasn't working. Is it him? Is it me? I mean, we love each other, so I don't understand why it's not working. So now instead of creating and learning and connecting to myself, I am getting preoccupied with trying to fix this relationship. I think deep inside, I knew that it wasn't going to work out, but I was ignoring that truth because I love him, and if I left, I would be left with questions like, well, what if he was my person? What if he is my person and I left? I also didn't want to face the pain of healing again because I had just started feeling like myself again after the previous time we broke up, and there I go giving myself up again. The uncertainty of whether or not this relationship was going to work or not started to manifest into every other area of my life. I started becoming unsure of myself, my relationships, my career, and then it just hit me that maybe I don't need to have all the answers or clarity in order to recognize that I can leave a situation that doesn't allow me to fully be myself within the relationship and in my life individually. As soon as we broke it off, I could feel like a part of me return to myself that did not exist when I was with him. And yeah, it is so painful to lose someone that I love once again, but I am just relieved to at least have that part of me back again. Because honestly, like I took a vow. I took a vow to myself that I was never going to be in a situation that is going to require my abandonment again. And I think because I took that vow, I was able to have the strength to separate myself. Sometimes it feels like I kind of went 6 months backwards in my healing and recovering process, but also to be able to recognize these truths and take action on them also shows how much I have grown as well. It feels really hard to talk about these things here. I feel like I'm kind of just spilling out my feelings and not really talking about bullet journaling at all, but honestly, I don't think I could have created this video if I didn't share exactly where I was with all of you, because I value authenticity and showing up as I am. So here I am, and thank you so much for listening. So moving on, we are now in the monthly calendar page. I don't know why I used a notebook as inspiration for the monthly calendar, but I thought it just looked a little empty, so I decided to add some cute little details because I like details and I like messing around with the borders. And then I just created this desert-like scene on the top right with a moon. It's kind of like a nighttime desert look that I am going for here, maybe because my heart is dark and gloomy right now, so is my desert scene. I don't know. I really do not know how to talk about my art. I am so sorry. This is the best I can do right now, guys. Anyways, the words that are on this page say that my worth is not defined by what I do, what I say, or how I feel. When something tragic or heartbreaking happens in my life, I kind of have to go back to the basics and remind myself of the most simple things. Because right now, my head is loud, my feelings are strong, and 1 minute I am feeling sad, lonely, and empty, and then the next minute I am angry, moody, and impulsive. For example, a couple days ago, I sent my ex like 5 texts in one day. Some of them were super angry, the other ones were sad and lonely and hurt, and other ones were me analyzing what we had talked about and me trying to clarify it. These texts came from fear and anger and pain. I was just hurting so much and I just wanted to do anything to make it stop. But the thing is that these texts were impulsive and they were not well thought out. I was not clear-minded when I sent them. And I just don't want to be that person that loses herself in her grief, because that is so much more painful than actually walking through my grief with grace and dignity. Because I made a decision and it's important that I stick with that decision. And not only is it unfair to me, but it's also unfair to his own recovery as well. But also, I really don't need to be hard on myself. I am not any less deserving of love and respect and acknowledgement and forgiveness just because I reacted to my pain a couple times. And that is what it means to be human, by taking responsibility for our actions, but with forgiveness and a whole lot of compassion. I've also been feeling kind of ashamed for just binge watching Vampire Diaries for the last week. But you know what? We're not even gonna go there. My friend Noah likes to call it like a cheat day. Like, you can cheat through the day a little bit when you're in this much pain. And you know what? I'll take it. Like, it's all right, because I don't need to be thinking about self-help and growth and becoming a better human being constantly throughout my day, because sometimes we just need to be exactly where we are, and that can just be enough. So now let's get into the habit and mood trackers. I don't have any quotes on this page, and so we can actually talk about bullet journaling for a little bit and not self-reflection. I put all of my habits into these little tiny notebooks, which I think is absolutely the cutest thing in the world, and I just love it. And I don't think I changed much on this page since the last couple months. The layout is pretty much the same, and the things I'm tracking are also the same. My art and bullet journal pages used to look way more sophisticated. Like, I would use a ruler to make sure everything was perfectly straight, but a year ago I stopped using rulers and worked on art that looked a little bit more sketchy and paint-like. This really helped with my paralyzation when it came to actually taking action on my creativity. Instead of going for that super perfect, realistic, balanced look, I can actually lower my expectations a little bit and focus on actually experiencing my artwork rather than just looking at the outcome. Because of course it feels so good to have a collection of art that we are incredibly proud of, but now when I actually look back at some of my work, I can actually experience the feelings that I felt when I first created that work to begin with, instead of looking at how technically skilled it is. When I look back at some of my bullet journal themes, I think my favorite ones are the ones that truly came from how present I was while creating those themes. And then there are those other themes that feel forced because maybe I had to rush them, or there was a time limit on my head, or that, you know, I felt obligated to create for some reason or another. And they may feel technically skilled, composition-wise or whatever, but there is something missing inside of them, and that element is a feeling of myself. I honestly think that the only purpose of practicing your craft or getting better at the technical skills is to serve further being able to express yourself in a more authentic way. Or we can look at it the opposite way, where the more practice we have with being present with our creativity, the more technically skilled we get naturally. Anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my markers and pens that WRITECH sent over to me. Most of the highlighting, shading, coloring, and the lettering was actually done by using their pens. I love vintage toned and earthy toned markers and pens, and I am trying to collect as many as I can because all of my art revolves around those colors. And lucky for me, WRITECH had vintage toned dual brush pens. They have vintage toned, like a finer brush pen, like the one I used for the header. And they have retractable vintage toned highlighters. It was perfect. They were sent to me like right before I had to fill this theme out. Their brand has so many colors that I didn't have before, and so I'm really excited to continue to explore all of the color range in my future themes and bullet journal spreads. So if you need to add more vintage colors to your collection, I highly suggest getting these. The links for their products will be down in the description box below, of course, as always, and you can also get 10% off with the code 10forLila, and the code will be down below as well. I'm actually doing this part of the voiceover the following morning, and I feel a little congested and sick, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little nasally. So we're almost done with the habit and mood tracker here. I'm just adding adding a little bit of some extra finer details like these sparkles. And now we can get into the weekly. For the header, I am using the WRITECH plastic nibbed brush pen in this olive green color. It's like a darker shade. I absolutely love it. I actually used their black brush pen for the header on the cover page, but when I got to the monthly calendar, I switched over to the green one because I just thought it fit better with the whole color range of this bullet journal theme. I'm not sure when this happened, but I've noticed that I kind of tend to avoid using any black tones in my bullet journal. All of my outlining and headers, they're all done in like a sepia tone or green or even gray or brown. And all of my tasks are written in a 005 Sakura fine liner in sepia tone as well. I think I just like that softer look, and black just feels a little too harsh for me. It's so funny, like every single month I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use the black toned fine liners this month because the last I don't know how many months I've been using the sepia toned ones, but I just naturally or instinctually just end up gravitating towards the sepia toned ones, and so it just feels a little interesting to me because I don't know, it's like my soul is naturally going for what it wants to, and I think I should just honor and accept that instead of trying to change it just because I feel like I've overdone something. If it feels good and makes me happy and brings joy to me, then it's all good. Anyways, as you can see, I have 6 boxes for every day of the week. The weekend is shared within one box. For every weekly that I create, I always add a notes and gratitude section, a little monthly numerical calendar, and of course drawings of the theme that I'm currently exploring for the month. I also layered in some words over some of the days of the week to act as a reminder for me as I walk through this week. The words say, wherever I am okay. Whoever I am okay. Sometimes I feel like I should be a certain way when I'm around people, like, you know, around my family and friends and my Discord community and online with you guys. I feel like I have to have my shit together, that people will get annoyed of me. Like, how can I be going through this again? People can only take so much of my, and I'm going to use the word drama here, but that's not actually how I want to see this situation. It's just what my head likes to tell me, that I am just always too much, too emotional, too crazy. But pain and grief and having feelings is never too much. And I just feel like my mind is using these thoughts in order to isolate and not let people in because I'm hurting. But also, why am I having these thoughts to begin with, right? It's because our world likes to tell girls like me that our needs are selfish and that we only exist to serve other people. I think when I recognize these things, I'm able to actually accept where I am, that I'm allowed to be exactly where I am, and that I still deserve all the love in the world. I am lucky. I am building a support system around me slowly, little by little. Even if it's very small at the moment, they know how to show up for me because we don't really need a lot of people around us to feel loved. We only need a couple of people that can really see us, really know us. And the only way we can find those people is by really just showing up as we are right now in this moment. I will see you all in the outro. Okay, so before I say goodbye, I just have a couple things I'd like to say about my Patreon. I actually updated some of the tiers and I added a brand new tier. So if you would like to support me or receive some goodies in the mail or just be a part of a loving community, feel free to check that out in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching and for allowing me to be a little itty bitty part of your day. And if no one told you they loved you today, I love you very much and I will see you in the next one.